Hello, Internet, and welcome to the DAGA Download. I'm not Allison Freed. I am Maura Healey, Massachusetts Attorney General, and I'm going to be taking over this week's DAGA Download. It is our season finale, so let's get to it.
All right, let's get started. Was someone just here? To start off the week, as we've seen time and again, I cannot dance. A.G. Ford, on the other hand, not only still has the moves, but they seem to run in the family.
I've been pop whipping, wrists on another rhythm. He been block switching, don't know how you ride with him. 5 Cadillacs like a politician. I be in and out arenas like I'm Scottie Pippen.
I will spare you the horrifying footage of my attempt. There may have been a decorative vase casualty. Sorry. This week, a coalition of Dem AGs sued the EPA for their attempts to roll back clean air and water protections. Virginia AG Mark Herring took a moment to point out why this would be a particularly bad moment to destroy the environment.
We are in the middle of an unprecedented outbreak of respiratory disease, and President Trump and his administration want to allow unchecked air pollution and stop enforcing clean air and clean water protections during the pandemic. It is dangerous, it could be deadly, and it's unlawful, and we're going to do everything we can to put a stop to it.
Have I taught you nothing?
I appreciate you.
If you don't start treating my friends better, so help me. Oh, speaking of Dem AGs taking on Trump, this week a federal court rejected Trump's attempt to have the Emoluments Case thrown out. And no, that has nothing to do with shopping malls. The Emoluments Clause is the anti-corruption clause written into the Constitution that says the president can't profit off the presidency.
In a normal presidency, you'd have the following checks and balances. You'd have the president checking himself. Then you'd have the staff checking the president. Then you'd have the Republican-controlled Congress checking the president. We know that's not happening. And so it's the press, the Democratic attorney generals, and others who are invoking the Constitution and taking these things to court.
Can't weasel your way out of this one, Donnie. Over in Pennsylvania, AG Josh Shapiro tweeted a photo of his daughter and him mailing in their ballots together. But not every state has the option to mail in a ballot. Earlier this week, I sat down with A.G. Healey to talk about vote by mail and why we need to protect the right to vote. Hi, A.G. Healey. Thanks so much for joining us for the season finale of the DAGA Download. I'm so glad they finally let me talk to an actual person instead of sitting alone in my living room.
Well, it is great to see Allison. Great to be here, virtually.
Of course. The coronavirus pandemic has obviously forced us to adapt the way we do many, many things. One of the things you've been focusing on is protecting the way we vote to ensure people and democracy stay safe. Why is it important to protect our elections right now, and how does vote by mail fit into that?
Voting is a fundamental right. It is fundamental to our democracy. But for far too long, voting has been too hard for too many people. Low-income people, people of color, people with disabilities have faced barriers that have only been made worse as a result of this coronavirus pandemic. So here's what we need to do. We need to have vote by mail across this country. We can do it safely, we can do it well. States like Colorado and Oregon already do this. We've done it in Massachusetts recently for some special elections. It's absolutely the way to go. People can have the choice to go to the polling place still, of course, but they've got to have the option to vote by mail. It's what we need to make happen. No one should have to make a choice between their health and exercising their right to vote.
Some have voiced concerns, Donald Trump on Twitter being one of them, that vote by mail isn't safe. What do we actually know about the security of mail-in ballots, and what steps do we need to take to ensure vote by mail is safe?
Well, first of all, Donald Trump himself voted by mail. So if it's good enough for Donald Trump, it's good enough for everyone else. Second, voting by mail can be done safely. It has been done well in many other states. Recently, we did it here in Massachusetts. No problem. There's just no legitimacy to the argument that voting by mail gives rise to uh, lots of fraud. It doesn't. There are ways you can control that, ways you can take care of that and do it effectively and well. And it's something that we need to do. Even before this crisis, we needed to make voting easier to people because it's a fundamental right and nobody should be denied an ability to practically exercise their right to vote.
Speaking of elections, both you and your fellow DAGA co-chair, A.G. Rosenblum, made history when you were elected, and now you're both the first two women co-chairs of the committee. Why do you think it's important that we elect more women, and what advice do you have to women and girls out there who aren't quite sure how to get started?
Well, I'm really delighted and honored to serve alongside Ellen Rosenblum as co-chairs of DAGA. It's a great organization. And for example, DAGA was among the many organizations that supported me and helped me when I was a first-time candidate running for this office. And so, I guess what I think about right now is seeing is believing. Unless and until you have people in positions of power, in elected office, it's just not going to happen in the way that it should. And, you've seen across industry, across government, that there just are too few women represented, too few minorities represented. And if we're going to truly be a representative democracy and enact the best policies and laws that truly serve all of us, we need to elect more women. It's as simple as that. We need to elect more minorities as well. So I'm proud to be in this position because I do think it, first off, allows me to try to help and do a lot of good in my state. But also, I know, little girls have come up to me. Their moms have come up to me. Their dads have come up to me and talked about my being Attorney General as giving their own daughters hope and inspiration that they can be whatever they want to be. And, I think back, as we've seen over the last 3 years in particular, where so many decisions were made that affect the rights of women, they were made by a bunch of men sitting around cabinet tables, to be honest. I mean, that's really what the Trump administration has looked like. And, that's why we end up in a position where there's, every effort made to further cut off women's access to reproductive health care, as just one example. Okay, that wouldn't be happening if more women were in those rooms and if more women were in office. And I'm going to certainly work with Ellen to do everything that we can to increase our ranks. I'm really proud of the last couple of years alone where, if you look at our team of Democratic AGs, we are more diverse than ever. And it's really exciting, and it's made us a much more dynamic, much more responsive group in power to serve not only the needs of people in our state, but frankly, across this country.
And I will very much look forward to seeing you get all the way to the top. Just to wrap up, if you will indulge me, I'd love to do a bit of a rapid fire so everyone can get to know you a little better.
That's good. It's like being on the hot seat. Yes.
Oh, we'll try and get through as many of these as we can. Okay. What did you want to be when you grew up?
A lawyer. Seriously.
If the shoe fits. What is your most unusual skill?
Well, spinning a basketball. People seem to like that.
I have only seen video evidence, but it looks very impressive.
Yeah, I played basketball in college and professionally for a couple of years. And so that's a little something that I picked up along the way.
What was your most recent binge watch?
Schitt's Creek. Love that show.
I love that. I cannot wait for the last season.
Yeah.
It's been great. What is your new quarantine hobby?
Cooking. It's sort of a forced hobby because I've never had to cook so much in my life, but for the last 10 weeks, it's good.
Speaking of food, what do you pour first, milk or cereal?
Cereal. I don't like things to get too soggy.
Cats or dogs?
Oh, dogs. I'm allergic to cats, honestly.
What is your most irrational fear?
Frogs. When I was 5, I was tortured by the boy next door. Long story, but it left me with lasting and permanent scars. I am actually afraid of frogs. Not afraid to take on the Trump administration, but afraid of frogs.
And last one, what is your Harry Potter house?
I mean, obviously Gryffindor, right? There's no other house.
Yes. AG Healy, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for doing this. Thank you for all the work you do. Please keep fighting the good fight, and I will continue to talk about it from my living room.
We will. All of us Democratic AGs will continue to get after it on a number of fronts. So thanks for tuning in.
All right, that does it for this week and this season. And what a time it's been. Thanks for 8 amazing episodes. I hope you enjoyed watching it as much as I enjoyed making it. We hope you laughed, and we hope you learned something. Even though the show's taking a break for now, the work doesn't. DemAGs will always keep fighting for you. And they'll keep making dad jokes too. Please stay safe. We hope to see you soon. I can't